Hey guys, and welcome back to Fringe Friday. I am Carmen, and today we are watching season 3, episode 5 of Fringe. If pattern holds, and I feel like I'm going to be saying that a lot this season, we will be back in World B with our Olivia and all of the stuff that's happening over there. Now, I was very vocally harsh of the ending of the last episode, and I still stand by everything that I said, because I do think it's a very serious issue and it definitely needs to be addressed and treated as such. However, it's been about a week and I feel in a much better place now going into this episode of Fringe. I was pretty upset and heated, you guys, and I definitely was like, I need a break from Fringe. But I do think after talking with some patrons and just really feeling my feelings about the episode, that I trust Fringe to address it the way that it should be addressed. And I think that it's very important that it happened to Peter, and I think that that opens up a broader conversation about men having to deal with these things, which they do all the time, but we don't really address in society. And I think that I think it's a very important conversation, and I hope that we do delve further into it throughout the season and, see the repercussions of what Peter has to deal with. All of that being said, if you want to know my full in-depth thoughts about the end of last episode, it's in my post-episode discussion, both my immediate first thoughts upon seeing it and a few days later when I was able to collect myself and sort of give the conversation the gravity it deserves. But yeah, I talk about that more there. I'm sure I will talk about it more throughout the season, but we're gonna move on into this episode and just hope that that we just have good things happening. I mean, it's Fringe, so there's always something like horrifying happening, but yeah, I'm ready for some more like monster of the week, like weird Fringe shit happening. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm rambling. Let's get into it.
You can take as many pills as you want. I'm not going anywhere.
I love that we're still able to have their dynamic when they're in separate worlds.
You just want things to go back to normal. To be the Olivia that you think you should be, but unfortunately that's not going to happen. Because you're not their Olivia. And you can keep on telling yourself that you're fine, but you're not fine. And I'm not a lingering symptom. You can't ignore me.
Yep. He's real. I mean, he is a part of her subconscious. It's not actually Peter. Can I just say, Figment Peter is like my favorite. Not my favorite version of Peter, but just, I love it. Wait. Oh my God, they're trying to get the people out of the quarantine. Right? I just realized what they were doing.
Careful. I said careful. You ready?
You could like laser somebody's something off. Oh, I thought they lasered his head off.
He's not breathing.
He's dead.
No, he's not dead. Give me the syringe.
The people in Amber aren't dead, right? They're like in a stasis.
Come on, buddy. Come on.
I don't know if you're gonna be able to wake him up though.
Come on.
Oh, yeah, Jan.
Breathe.
Just take him with you and try, right?
Okay, you're okay. Cut him out.
Hurry. Can those... I wonder if we're going to find out how aware they are when they're still in the Amber. Oh no. Oh no, they're going to get trapped.
Pull. Come on. Pull, come on. Come on. Pull it.
Help me, please. I'm sorry. He's my brother. No, please, don't leave me.
Dude, That's so messed up. Okay, so I think that they're just in some sort of stasis maybe, but I'm curious if we're gonna find out like how aware they are when they're in that like stasis sort of state of being frozen in time, you know? Because if you're fully aware, like that's real fucked up.
No one's ever removed anything from the quarantine zone, yet they keep trying.
I mean, they did get something out though.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, are you aware that that's a different person?
In 1989, these isolated tears in the fabric of our universe began to increase in frequency.
That's horrifying.
I remember something a little differently. Right there, Frieza. Thanks.
Yeah, it's different.
4 years ago, this station was sealed. Now it looks
That
like
guy
we have a new
wasn't there.
addition.
Yeah.
Something tells me he wasn't after purses.
You just noticed that that looks like a person? I'm sorry, just saying. Aww. Walternet, don't you be making me feel feels for you.
I remember the first time we instigated the protocol. It was October 17th, 1989.
Okay.
63 civilians were trapped in Amber that day. And all the 100 cents sickens me.
Good. I'm glad that it does. You know?
It's a tragic but a small price to pay for the greater good. I can understand that.
Perhaps.
I mean, it'd be hard to understand if it was your family member trapped in Amber, though.
But if they were to find out that the Amber victims could be removed and resuscitated, I'm afraid the outcry would be akin to revolt.
Quarantine victims are alive?
Yes.
Theoretically.
How did you not know that?
But to remove them would weaken the structural integrity of the Amber.
We'll recover them before anyone finds out, sir.
I think it's also important to know the level of cognizance they have and awareness.
Nature doesn't recognize good and evil, Philip.
That's very true.
Nature only recognizes balance and imbalance. I intend to restore balance to our world, whatever it takes.
So he's saying, yeah, he's willing to be very morally questionable in order to save the world.
Rose
Yeah.
used some kind of device that allowed him to access the vaults without setting off the bank alarms.
Wait,
So did was cause molecular degradation.
Man-made breaches. We studied that case back at the academy. You guys had to quarantine, what, half a dozen areas?
is that the one where they cut through the banks in our world?
Possible that he was taken out in order to be revived.
Revived.
What I'm about to tell you is
Oh, they don't know.
the people entombed in Amber are in a state of suspended animation.
Sir, if people knew that their loved ones were still alive in
I
there...
understand, Agent Dunham. Which is why we need to recover Rose, whatever state he's in, as soon as possible.
The thing is, our Olivia is good. So that's going to mean a lot more to her than it would the other Olivia. Faux Olivia, as you guys have informed me that she is called. Faux Olivia, rather, I guess. Ooh. Secrets. Secrets. Secret tunnel. Sorry.
Jackpot.
Looks like he was trying to build some kind of negative matter ring.
Okay, Mr. Wizard, some of us don't have a fancy degree.
That's how they broke into the bank in our world. It's from season 1, right?
Okay, now I know you pulled that out of your ass.
Listen.
Go,
Yeah.
now!
Oh, damn. It was booby trapped. I just thought, like, oh, there's air coming from somewhere.
Did you ID the symbol on those tanks?
Ferrocene. It's a compound used in negative matter rings.
Oh, what did I say?
Anyone ever tell you gloating isn't attractive?
I like Lincoln. He's funny. She recognized the sound, though, from when she had dealt with it in season 1, right?
Liv. As soon as we're done, we're gonna go talk to Joshua Rose's brother.
I wouldn't mind him, like, coming to our world. Also, Charlie. Sorry. Obviously, Olivia is struggling to cope with seeing Peter.
Do you have any idea what it was like for me when Joshua's face started showing up on the news? I mean, every time I went to the market, to the movie, take my kids to Little League, people would look at me and see him. You know, just because we look alike, it doesn't mean we have anything in common.
Oh, she knows. She knows that very well. What if he's gone? He's not gone, okay, but
Where's Danielle?
he's up.
She's at the store. She's gonna be back in a minute.
What if they traded identities?
I don't know how to say this, but you came to the bank to try and stop me, but you were too late.
I right.
I couldn't know you were coming.
So,
You were trying to stop me from robbing a bank. I ended up stealing your life.
yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I just realized, like,
It took me longer than I thought, but I never gave up.
seconds before they said it. Does his wife know? Does she know the truth? Does she know that's her? She does, right? Yeah.
How are our boys?
They're so big, you're not gonna believe it. They're giants.
Oh, that's so sad. It's funny, this reminds me of, like, Stranger Things now. That's cool.
Now we wait.
I'm not sure what they're waiting for. Like, are they waiting for her to pass over? Or are they waiting for her to...
Only those who risk going too far find out how far they can go.
That's what Belle always said. Is she in our world?
Cameron. I told you not to touch anything.
Poor kid. He's like, I didn't do shit.
I went somewhere. To a gift shop. There was a boy.
It worked.
Okay. She could control where she could cross over. She could cross over and to Peter.
Makes sense now, doesn't it? Why they needed you to take their test voluntarily. Why they needed you to believe that you were their Olivia.
You can't make your brain stop telling you what your brain's telling you, hun.
They know you can cross over. You've done it before. That's how you ended up here in the first place.
Mom, hey.
Hi.
Mwah. Come in.
It's Tuesday.
Yeah. Oh, lunch. I'm sorry, it just slipped my mind. It's just been really hectic and... yeah.
Olive, is everything okay?
No, it's not your daughter. Don't tell her. Don't tell her. Please don't tell her. Please, for God's sakes, don't tell her.
Mom, I'm just tired. And I keep...
No.
You were a pair of twins in high school. Nina and Gina. One of them was always so much brighter than the other one, but they both managed to get straight A's. I'll give you one guess how they did that.
Olivia.
Yeah.
One pretended to be the other one for the tests.
They switched. When we spoke to Matthew Rose today, when he was talking about Joshua's crimes, he wasn't angry or upset. He was ashamed.
You think Joshua Rose was pretending to be his brother?
Yeah.
I think the man we spoke to today committed those crimes. I think that they switched on us.
Yep.
Identical twins have the same DNA. Fingerprints and retinas are unique.
He's who he says he is. This is Matthew Rose.
Yeah, well, something's not right. They switched again.
Liv.
I'll prove it to you.
Dunham.
She's right.
You switched with your brother.
What are you talking
You
about?
know exactly what I'm talking about.
Olivia.
Let her talk. Let her talk.
At your house. What did we talk about?
I'm sure he told him.
Your partner did most of the talking. I told you how hard it was for me and my family when Joshua was robbing banks.
You told him.
Yeah.
What we looked like, what we talked about. They're in it together. His brother told him.
Dunham.
They're messing with this. They switched.
Dunham.
She's right.
Outside.
Oh my god. I just drew on myself.
He's lying, and you can't prove that I'm wrong.
We can't prove you're right either.
Liv.
They're twins. Are you telling me that it's not in the realm of possibility that they took each other's place?
Right?
Colonel, you got a visitor upstairs.
Lady, you better not say shit.
Olivia would be furious with me, but I think she went back to work too soon. She just hasn't been herself, and I'm worried that there's something wrong.
Bitch. You're fucking this up. I understand she's just worried about her daughter, like, but it's just annoying to me because, like, go away.
Break in a Langdon chemical 2 weeks ago.
3 tanks of ferrocene.
Who uses ferrocene again?
So Joshua Rose is planning another heist. Sir?
Lee, go check it out. Take Francis.
Don't do this to me. Please don't take me off the case.
I think you've been pushed too hard.
Sir, I'm not crazy.
But she's the only one who figured it out.
Done. Go home.
Like, is her being good at her job gonna be the giveaway that she's not other Olivia? Like, what?
Look, I'm doing my best here. You know that.
Do you know what it was like for him? In the Amber, did he tell you?
Was he aware?
Well, he told me.
Yeah.
He
Cool.
was aware of every moment.
They
His mind was
are.
stuck in the last thought he had before he was trapped.
This horrible feeling of fear and loss. Wondering about his family, how we would get along. Can you imagine that?
I have a plan.
What, you gonna rob a bank? If you really cared about him, you would turn yourself in because that is the only way out of this.
So they are aware. Like, that's fucked up. I mean, I don't know if they're fully aware because she said he was trapped in the last thought he had, but they are somewhat aware.
If Joshua Rose was about to hit another bank, where would it be, given his profile and MO?
There are 37 likely targets. Assuming that Joshua Rose was taken out of the Amber, necessary parameters would include...
Sorry, assuming that Joshua was removed from the Amber?
We know that someone was taken from the Amber. Joshua was a twin. There's a 50% chance that his brother was in Amber and that Joshua broke him out.
Yeah.
Okay, so if it was Matthew who was in the Amber, then Joshua's MO may have changed.
Yeah.
I don't follow your logic.
I mean, if he's spent the past 4 years living with the guilt of trapping his brother in Amber, then he's not gonna want to hurt people like that again.
Yeah.
Less human traffic, remote area, reduced collateral damage.
Yeah.
That would narrow the list of likely targets down to three banks.
Okay. And which one has the most money, assumedly, right? Because then that would give him the most opportunity to escape and be free. Unlocked. Bitch.
I need a location.
Riverdale Mutual, the Bronx.
Let's go, people.
She was right.
Who?
Agent Dunham.
Yep. I just hope that her being smart doesn't screw her, you know?
We got a busted lock on the subway gate. She could be down there.
She could be anywhere. The quarantine protocol is already in place.
Sure, if she's in there.
It's a class 2 breach. We have to seal it before we lose this whole block.
5 minutes.
You got 3.
You think that if they had enough time, they could, like, evacuate the area, right? Before, sealing it off.
Alright, we gotta move. Okay, wait. Joshua Rose is in there. Come on. We gotta go. Come on.
If his wife loses him again, that's gonna be so shitty.
Where are your tools? Unless they think they have me, they'll never stop.
Oh,
If I turn myself in, they'll figure it out. They'll know I wasn't the one in the Amber.
He's
They'll
gonna...
take you. You're the only person alive that survived the quarantine.
He's trying to see him.
Matt, you gotta go. I'm not taking your life twice. Josh, no. Let me do this one good thing.
Go, you have to go. Hurry. Hurry.
One casualty. Joshua Rose.
Gonna be right back. Are you aware of how many protocols you broke?
What? Oh, okay. Now I need you not to go to Walternet and be like, she's acting weird. I need you to like...
We found your brother, and I'm sorry to say he was caught in a quarantine protocol last night.
Well, thank you for telling me, Agent.
I'm sorry. True or false? I take this to my lab, got them to run this skin sample, then tell me this was from a man who spent the past 4 years in Amber.
Hey, Dad, Mom needs you to stick the steaks on the grill.
And you can consider this investigation closed.
Man, what the hell was that? Like, damn.
You know why you let him go, don't you?
Oh, gosh.
It's because you can understand what he's going through. Trapped in that amber, just like you're trapped over here. The only difference is nobody's going to save you. Only you can save yourself. You listened to me about the case. I don't understand why you won't listen to me about this.
Yeah.
Why do you want to deny the truth about yourself?
You can't prove anything that you're saying.
But I know things.
You're in my head.
Exactly. Which means you know things too. Things about the other side. Things you couldn't possibly...
True.
Unless you were from there. On the other side, the Twin Towers have fallen. On the other side, your sister Rachel is still alive. She lives in Chicago. Her husband took a job there. They live at 1934
See, now I
Sherman
know
Way.
you're lying because
On the
Rachel
other
hates
side,
Chicago.
your beautiful niece Ella is alive. She was born, and it's her birthday today. She turned 7.
There's no way to prove it.
Yes, there is.
You can go there. You know you can.
Brandon, I want to go back in the tank.
Scheduled for another test until tomorrow.
Well, she wants to go today. How is Walter gonna feel about this?
Anything new?
No. But something interesting. About 20 minutes ago, her brain chemistry spiked. It seems there's some dormant chemical in her brain. From the way it's bound to her neurons, I'd say it's been there since she was a child.
Cortexiphan? Is it the Cortexiphan? It's so quiet. It's like, I don't know. Hold on. Oh, were those little toys? Is she gonna call Peter?
Hello?
Ella.
Hi.
Aunt Liv, I knew you wouldn't forget my birthday. Aunt Liv?
Don't tell them. Do not say shit. Please, please do not say shit.
What happened?
It didn't work. Nothing happened. All I saw was black.
But they know that's not true, right? Just say it was the gift shop again. Maybe they don't know she's not telling the truth. Maybe they can't tell based off of her brain waves or something. Ugh, I'm stressed. I really loved that episode a lot, honestly. I think that the way that they played with the idea of morality and nature and just the dichotomy of different people's natures was sort of really interesting. I just think that it was a lot of fun and it was done really well. And I think especially in a like Fringe as a whole deals with morality all of the time, almost every episode, right? Just the premise of it kind of really deals with the idea of morality, because I think in a lot of instances, science deals with the implications of morality, right? We have Walter and Walternet and Belle all talking about how far you're willing to go to do what you want to do and what you need to do, and the sort of moral implications of that. We have Olivia in the last episode, really, in my opinion, throwing whatever morals she had out the window in order to accomplish her goal. And we have Walternet in this episode talking about morality, and what was it he said? Nature doesn't recognize good and evil, it just recognizes balance and imbalance. And I loved his conversation with Broyles about how he will do whatever it takes to balance the scales of nature and save their world. And to me, I think it's pretty obvious. What he's saying is that he can't afford the luxury of morality because he's trying to save the world, right? Like, he talked about how the 63 people that were encased in amber the very first time in Harvard haunts him, and how every time, all of the people that are subsequently quarantined in amber haunt him, and he can't really take that into account, right? His stance, of course, and I think everybody has individual morality, and obviously, and we can all decide whether or not his morality aligns with ours and whether or not we think it's an acceptable thing to do. But I think his idea is that in order to save the entire world and the presumably billions of people on his earth, he feels that the lives of the many outweigh the lives of the few, or the life of the one, right? That's clearly the stance that he's taking in this instant. And I've talked many times before about the implications of that sort of morality and whether or not I agree with it or disagree with it. And I just think that whether or not I agree with the idea that the lives of the many outweigh the life of the one, which I don't, I've said many times before, my stance on it, but I think that it's a very popular sort of line that people draw in the sand. And I think, again, morality is so individual and so, it's complicated, right? I would never say that I'm 100% right and he's 100% wrong, because I don't think that in the gray area of morality that there's a 100% right and wrong in certain situations. If we're going to go back to the last episode, I think that the act that Olivia chose to do was 100% morally wrong. Olivia, excuse me. And I think that there are rights and wrongs in the scale of morality, but I also think that there are a lot of individual beliefs that lie in the gray area, right? There's definitely right and there's definitely wrong, and then there's a gray area in the middle of that. And yeah, I think it's really fun to play in the gray area in the middle. I think it's really fun to have characters that occupy that gray area in the middle, because I think that in real life, for the majority of us, things do exist in that murky gray area in the middle, right? I think that there are obviously things that are 100% black and white, right and wrong. And then there's the gray area. So I think that it's really fun when a show can show both opposing sides, though, of the sort of ideas of morality, and not just the opposing sides, but all the different sort of variables, and then kind of pass it off to you. Do you agree with what Walternet's doing? And it's, I think, a hard one to answer, because he's not wrong. He's trying to save an entire planet, an entire species, an entire race of humanity, right? And so I think that there's certain wiggle room in there for his own personal beliefs. While originally I did just outright dislike Walternet because he's trying to hurt Peter, you know, and like I can't, and our Olivia and our world, like I can't co-sign that character, right? But I think that in this episode and in the past couple episodes, they've really shown a version of Walter, right? Like he's haunted by the kidnapping of his son. He's haunted by the impact that another version of him had on his entire world. And he's trying in what small ways he can to make right the things that a version of him made wrong. And you could see in this episode, he was looking at, what was it, the newspaper of when Peter was kidnapped. And I think that Walternet is and was devastated by Peter's disappearance. You know, I think that having Peter back for Walternet was a great moment too. And I think that while I don't think our Walter would choose to sacrifice his son in order to save the world, I can kind of understand how Walternet might feel the need to do that because a version of him is what damned the world. And so maybe he feels like a sacrifice of him is necessary in order to save it. Something else that I thought was interesting in this episode, and this is a tiny moment, but they talked about micro black holes, and that's terrifying. Like, I know that, or at least I think, do not quote me on this because science is not my area. I love science fiction. I'm not great at science. I feel like there are actually micro black holes in space in our world, not on Earth, obviously, but in space. And they're kind of, from what I understand, really baffling to scientists because black holes are so largely not understood. And so the fact that micro black holes can exist is like crazy. But again, don't quote me on that because I do not know. I just think it's interesting, the idea of micro black holes appearing on Earth. Like, that's horrifying. Like, sinkholes in and of themselves, horrifying. A sinkhole that is also a black hole, no. Also, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but Walternet said it was October 17th, 1989. Is that when the first people were ensconced in the Amber? Or is it when the first singularity or event happened, right? I can't remember, but I'm just writing the date down to try to remember it just in case it's important. But yeah. Also, speaking of Amber, speaking of the quarantined people, I think that we really have to talk about how we now know that they are, like, we knew that they weren't dead before, right? We suspected that they weren't dead before because it was said that they were declared legally dead at some point. But to me, that meant that they weren't actually dead. At least it seems, I don't know why I'm saying this in such a complicated way, but it seems that what Fringe is saying is that the public believe that once you are quarantined, you're legally, medically dead, right? And yet now we, at least the small team of us and the audience, now know that when you are quarantined, you are sort of in a state of suspended animation, stasis. You're not dead, but you're also not alive. Now, the thing that I want to know is, do they age? Like, to what extent are they frozen in time, right? Like, if they're in quarantine, like if I'm right and those people have been in quarantine since 1989, do they still look the exact same as they did in 1989 when they were stuck in quarantine? And if let out of quarantine, then would they just start to age at a normal pace, at a more aggressive pace? Like, what are the parameters to which the stasis that they're existing in exists, and what are the implications of that, right? Obviously, there's a greater moral implication in the fact that they are aware, at least to some degree. Like, that lady said that her husband was stuck in, he was aware, so he knew he wasn't dead, and he was stuck in like the last moments or the last things he thought before the stasis kicked in, right? So they're not fully aware. They're not sitting there looking around, like seeing people walk by. I mean, they're in quarantine, so there's probably not people that close. But in some cases, the quarantine exists where you can like walk by, like at Harvard, right? So they're not aware to the degree that they are having conscious thoughts of being stuck and trapped and all of that. So I guess that's good in a way, but they are aware to some degree of, at least they're trapped in the last moments of what they were thinking when they went into the amber. So I definitely think that there is a moral implication of that, rather than them actually being dead or completely unaware, because I think that it's kinder if they're dead, right? It's kinder if they're unaware. If they're literally trapped in their own brain and fully like conscious of it, like that's worse. Like, do they sleep? Is there a certain percentage of time when they get the relief of not being aware because they're asleep? Or is it just 24-hour consciousness? Like, there's obviously a lot that we don't know still about the people that are trapped in amber, but I think it's pretty disturbing and upsetting, and obviously it would be to the world if it comes out that they are in some form aware, because we know they are. I just thought that was an interesting sort of detail for them to add in, because I had wondered, and I'm sure that they knew that the audience would wonder. So yeah, and I definitely think it's more of a damning look at Walternet, because he knows, he's known the whole time that they are aware, and he's allowed it to happen. Again, like I said, he kind of seems to be taking the stance of, I don't have the luxury of worrying about the morality of this at this time. But yeah. Also, it has to be said, I just love how chaotic Figment Peter is. Like, he gives no fucks. He just says what he's thinking. He like is almost enjoying this. And it's just funny because it's obviously a part of Olivia's brain. You know, like they acknowledged in this episode, like he's not really there. It's the part of her brain, like I said, that wants to hold on, that is trying to remind her of who she is and what she has to fight for to go back home. But it's just funny because now I'm imagining that like this is the characterization of Peter for Olivia, right? And I just love it because he has pure chaotic energy. Like, he is just like zinger, 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 like having fun with it, you know? And it's cool to see Joshua Jackson get to play that, because Peter is often like playful and jokey and like zingers and like bantering with Olivia like that. But he's not always that way. In fact, we often see him in a much more like serious and subtle way. And so it's kind of fun to get to see this side of Peter and to see this interpretation of Peter from Olivia's mind. And yeah, I'm sure that it was just a lot of fun for Joshua Jackson to get to play Figment Peter, because he's very like, you know, does that make sense? I don't know, like, I can't articulate it, like, except for chaotic, but, like, that's the vibe that Figment Peter gives me. I also thought it was interesting the way that this episode played with the twins and then two aspects of Olivia, two different Olivias, and how they're different people who just look alike. But I think it's important for them to make that distinction, especially after last episode and what happened, for them to distinguish them as they're not really similar, they just look alike. You know, they might have certain similarities in the way that people have certain similarities, and they are versions of each other, but they are completely different, wholly autonomous versions of themselves. You know, like they're two different people, essentially. And I like the way that the story incorporated that with the twins. I really enjoyed the story of the one twin trying to save the other twin. I do think it's sad that that one poor guy got caught in the middle and is just encased in amber now. But I enjoyed their story, and I enjoyed the way that it shed light on Olivia's story and allowed Olivia to sort of figure things out for herself. Like, I absolutely adore Olivia. You know, she is... I just love her so much. And so to see her struggling so much, it does hurt me. But I so desperately want her to listen to Figment Peter and to try to get back to herself and her world, that I'm okay with seeing the struggle when I know that the outcome is going to be beneficial for her. I just really hope that Walter doesn't realize that she was lying at the end. I just really hope that Walternet... Sorry, it's hard for me to remember to distinguish. Like, they're very different characters, and it's not hard to remember that they're very different characters. It's just hard for me to remember to call him Walternet instead of Walter. I'm also really enjoying the relationship between our Olivia and Charlie and Lincoln. It's a really fun dynamic, and I know we probably can't, and I know we probably won't, but I would like to bring them back to our world to join our French team. You know, I think it would be fun. Anyway, you guys, there's probably a lot more that I could say about this episode, as I say every fucking episode, but I cannot remember it right now, so I'm not going to say anything else. And you guys are probably so freaking tired of hearing me ramble at you anyway. Like, I'm going to let you go and, like, play Stray or some other video game of your choice. But if you like cats, you should play Stray because it's really good. It's a little bit scarring if you're bad at video games like me and you cause the cat to die a few times, but otherwise it's a lot of fun. It's a short game, like 6 hours. Anyway, sorry, random video game recommendation over with for now. If you guys want, you can watch the next episode of Fringe right now over on Patreon, which is linked in the description down below, as well as my full-length reaction to this episode and every episode thus far of Fringe. It is over there as well. I don't have anything else to say. I don't know why I awkwardly stopped. Until next time. Bye, guys.